Hello everybody, welcome. My name's Annalise James. I do work for the council, but I also run my own business called 22 Midnight, which is based in Gosport. Whee! And I've run it for 6 years. And the reason that I love personal branding, although I don't love the word personal branding because I think it makes you think of Kim Kardashian, but the reason I love purposeful branding is about knowing who you are and purposely putting out content that is representative of you but beneficial to others. That's essentially what it is. You're leveraging your personality. And the reason I love that is because before I just dinged my job in with no money whatsoever and started a business, I had not very intentionally created a bit of a personal brand through being really consistent and sharing information. And then when I just launched into my business, people booked me. They used my services, they came out of the woodwork, and I was like, how do you even know about me? But all of them, the majority of my work comes from LinkedIn, and I've always been very consistent on there, and I've always had a very conscious personal brand for the last 6 years at least. So that for me, I think there's real power in it, which is why I talk about it, and I love it. Love it. So like I said, hello, that's me. That's a very pixelated face. So really it's about defining yourself, being noticed, and building connection with others. And it is leveraging your personality and your values. You basically want to create a memory of yourself or be meaningful to others. So before you even walk in a room, people have an understanding of who you are. We'll come to some more information about that. And really, personal branding is about how you impact others. It's about creating a feeling in others so that they then do something. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the psychology behind there. Why do we do personal branding? We do personal branding or purposeful branding because 95% of our buying decisions are actually subconscious. Our brain likes to take a lot of responsibility. And the example I always give is you're walking down the street and you see a pair of shoes in the window and you're like, I'm going to buy those shoes. You walk in and you buy the shoes and your brain is like, oh my God, I just bought these shoes, I'm so fancy. But really what happened, maybe a month, 2 months, maybe in your childhood, you saw these red shoes and they were on somebody's feet that you liked, or a celebrity was wearing them, and it made you feel something. And then a period of time happens, maybe you saw some red shoes in another context, and then eventually you decided subconsciously to make a decision and become that person, or to liken yourself, or to be confident enough to wear those shoes, and then you walk in the shop and you buy them. So all this other stuff has happened that's led you to make that decision, and your brain takes all the glory, but it's a load of rubbish. We ignore our brains, basically. And the other reason we do personal branding is because 90% of people will buy from people that they feel they trust, and they'll also buy from people who've recommended. So really what you're doing, through creating a personal brand for yourself, you're creating this kind of consensus of who you are, this idea of who you are, and people start to believe it, because we're actually quite gullible, right? So you could use this as a very manipulative tool. Please don't. But realistically, they feel they trust you, they'll want to buy from you. So essentially, you're dealing with quite big stats there. 95% is 90%. So you're lots of impact if you do it right and you're quite considered in the way that you put it together. So a little bit of that sciencey stuff. So we're motivated in two ways, subconsciously and consciously, like I've just said about the brain and the gut. So our inner is all of our subconscious stuff. So this is all of the gut feeling. You know when you meet someone, you're like, don't know, don't feel right. And somehow or other they kind of prove you right. You knew that answer before, you know, right at the beginning of meeting them. And then we have our external, the things that we just do and we act on. Essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to make people feel something about us before we've even walked into a room. So maybe when we walk into the room or we do that social media post, people think, I want to buy, I want to work with them. Or they just reach out to you for no reason at all, that they don't even know why. They're like, I just feel like I should have a coffee with you. I get that all the time. And I'm like, okay, and it's lovely, but I'm sometimes like, what the hell is this going to be? It's like, what? So it can be lovely, and actually what you're doing is you're purposely attracting these people who want to work with you, and they're probably quite similar to you, because the way that you're putting yourself forward and the values and if you're being aligned with who you really are, you will attract people like you, which is great, because we want to do business with people like us, don't we? Because they're friendly and they're happy and they're welcoming and all those other lovely things. So we also do a personal brand because we want to be happy and we want to live and breathe our authentic self. and running a business that's aligned to who we really are. What realistically we're trying to do is we're trying to actually be who we are. So when we're looking at our values, we're looking at who we are right now. And the amount of times I meet with people and they are picking value words out of the air of things they want to be. And it's not going to work. You can't be aspirationally a personal brand. You have to be who you are and just very, very good at it. So if you ladies are wanting confidence today, that's great because it's who you really are, and then just kind of putting a megaphone up to that to tell everyone that you're confident in being who you are. So other ways it's good. I like to say that you avoid naff people. If you're very, very you, you'll naturally attract people because they have similar values to you. And I don't get, when I first started in business, I got a few people random, and I'd get quite a lot of military folk or kind of ex-security services, and they were quite corporate and quite straight-laced and serious. And I don't get those clients anymore because I've been very careful to be like, hi, I'm informal, hi, I'm an idiot, like come and work with me. And I'm okay with that because it's who I am, and I want to work flexibly and informally, and I want to be welcoming and happy. So you avoid the people you don't want to work with when you're considered in what you put out. You also get more connections, so people will start to trust and like you, and also they'll start to refer you, which is brilliant. So they'll be like, oh, this person, that person, they recommended you. And sometimes you'll find that a few people have talked about you in a room or in multiple rooms and you weren't even there. And then they're like, oh, hey, I went to this and then I went to this and everyone was talking about you. And I thought, oh, I must get in touch. So it's lovely. You can live on your own terms. So when you have a strong personal brand, you don't have to flip-flop with things that are trending online. And then the last thing is opportunity. In the last 6 years, I can't even tell you the randomest opportunities. Like, can you come and host a marathon? Can you just come to sailing week and just be on a boat? And I'm like, okay, yes. Not all these things are paid, but some of these things are for exposure, but some is work. And I'm like, this is wild. And it's great. And I say yes to the things that align with my brand. So the people who are nice and the experiences that are good. So you will get more opportunity. That can be job opportunities, it can be new projects, new collaborations, partnerships. So what we're trying to do is kind of be more Branson. So we want to create a collective opinion of everyone in this room are at an event and they're like, oh, yeah, Karen, I know Karen, like she this and that. You know, have this idea of you. You want to create certainty. So that collective opinion, if multiple people think or believe something, then they all start to believe that it's actually certain and it's real. Certainty creates trust. Trust creates job opportunity, really. Referral, recommendation. But then also opportunity, other opportunities, bigger projects, scaling up. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to understand your values. We're going to understand how we need to be of benefit to others. We're going to talk a little bit about consistency. And then we're going to talk about delivering. If you decide to start the personal branding journey, it's probably going to take you about 3 months to establish who you are, understand what you're talking about, and consistently share content and get used to it. Because actually, it's a little bit uncomfortable. And actually, when you first start sharing on LinkedIn, you're like, oh my God, who's going to care? I'm putting myself out here, I'm being vulnerable, depending on what your value words are. But the thing is, after a 3-month period, you'll really notice that people start to come to you. So what we're going to do is a little activity for you, and this is, you've got this, no you don't have this sheet, no. So this requires pen and paper. Does everyone have pen and paper? Yeah? So what I would like you to do is to start on this section here. So what do you love? I would like you to write down 3 things that you love the most in your life or business, just 3 things. So the next section I'd like you to do is take each of those 3 things as a header. And I'd like you to think about why you love it. So, if you chose hockey, sport, it might be because you think it's teamwork, dedication, being active, or maybe it's something about personal challenge. So what you're trying to do is, rather than make the list really, really small, we want to end up with 5 core value words that we situate our brand around. We are multifaceted like diamonds. I believe we've got all these different facets that shine light in different ways. And with multiple different people on the same day. So really you want to kind of come to 5. So it might be that you just really, really can't scratch one of those words off the list. You're like, no, do you know what? Creativity is, I'm die hard for creativity. I'm die hard for caring, helping. You know what I mean? So that you might just think like, that is just me. And the other way, if we were doing this on a one-to-one, is that I'd actually get you to work through 3 examples of each word to prove how you absolutely are that every single day. So say, for example, you did care. Right, how do you care? How do you care in work? And how do you care at home? And how do you care for yourself? If you can't give me 3 examples right there, caring isn't every single thing for you. You need to be able to absolutely be living and breathing it. And that's the important piece around making sure it's a value now and not a value you'd like to be. So what we want to do then, so once you've decided your 5 values, you need to test them. So how do you live and breathe them every day? So ask yourself, how have I done this 3 times in this week or 3 times in this day? But the other thing I want you to do is choose 3 of your favourite people, maybe one from work, one from family, one from elsewhere, and ask them what they think you are. So what 3 words would you use to summarise me? If you're living an aligned life, they'll probably say similar words. And you'll be like, yes, I'm self-aware, success. So ask people, so just feel comfy to do that. Because sometimes we're not good at knowing ourselves, and so, we need other people to hold a mirror up to ourselves. So this is supposed to be a difficult exercise. It's a much deeper exercise than 10 minutes, like we said, and also edit accordingly. So this is the beginning of this, and feel free to go home and be like, yeah, okay, how do you feel about that? And talk to your partners or whoever. And, and keep coming back to it until you feel absolutely, yeah, that's who I am, that's what I stand for. Because as long as you've got that really steady foundation, you can then really build on that brand. So one of my my value words is giving, okay? So what we want to do, once we've defined our value words, we then think about all the ways that we actually do that. Okay, so giving, I run something called Colleagues Getting Coffee, where I interview different business leaders and I share it, and it's my own time and energy to go out and film it and share it online. I create co-authored books with different business women, and just for the fun of it. But they all give me stories and we get together and we promote the book, lovely. I just ran TEDx Southampton, and that was about showcasing speakers from around the world. And it was a huge undertaking, and I just really enjoyed it. I helped my friend Scott Sivier with his Strength to Talk, which is male suicide awareness. There's loads of things. My yoga teacher in lockdown, she couldn't get out and about, so I basically went and filmed her yoga lessons so she could still get clients and still work with people. So you have to prove it. And then I was like, oh, giving is one of my words. Yes. Tick, 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 tick. All the touch points in my life. What we need to do now is thinking about being of benefit to others. Okay? Being of benefit is really important in how you start to market your values and how you start to translate them to others. Okay? So everything you do has to have a purpose, and it has to be useful to your brand, and it has to have an impact to others. So if your value word, giving, for example, all of my giving examples had a benefit. People could come and be interviewed. Someone could come and be a speaker. I could do social media for Scott and he'd get more readers of his mental health book. So I'm taking my value word that means a lot to me and I'm turning it into value and benefit to other people. Yeah? It's when we start getting into the fuzzy stuff. And thinking to feeling. So in marketing a lot, and you might agree with this, we quite often talk about the features of things. So the features are, the car has rear-wheel drive, it's got air conditioning, it's grey, But realistically, we want to think about how people feel about that. And what people feel about the new car, I don't know, Dan's gone to buy his new car, and he's driven up onto his driveway, and Gary, his neighbour, is like, have you seen Dan's new car? And Dan's like, yeah. Dan feels good. He feels like he can show off. He feels like he's a success in life. That's the feeling-y stuff we want to chat to with people. And how we're thinking about benefits is about the personal impact. So we really need to understand our clients and who we're talking to so that we can understand that our value word has benefit to them specifically. So the example there is around the pen has a lid, which is a feature, but really the pen lid, the benefit is that the ink doesn't go on your shirt just before you walk into an interview and make you look like an idiot. Yeah, so trying to think about the personal impact of things and the personal impact of you. And then people love useful things as well. So we're time poor, we're cash strapped, we're overstretched. And being of benefit to others makes you useful to people. It's not just all about us, it's about how we are a vessel and a vehicle, because really the biggest satisfaction in life that we have, whether we like it or not, is actually really we're human beings, and we do want to help each other, and we do want to support, and we do want to give something back. We want to create some sort of legacy. So we want to think about our specific audience sections and who we're speaking to, so that we understand that when we say we're creative or we're motivational or we're caring, who we're talking to and why they should care, because it really influences the way that we create content. Yeah? So what I'd like you to do, if you don't mind, is I'd like you to think about maybe 2 or 3 of your potential customers that you'd like to work with. So for example, I like to work with marketing managers. So one of my marketing managers, I would call all my marketing managers Vicky. And Vicky, she's creative, she's bubbly, she's a bit scatty, she hasn't got very much time. You know, she just basically she knows that she's going to email me. I'm quite informal, tick, because that's one of my brand values. So she knows she can just email me last minute and I'll be like, yeah, Vicky, cool, sorted, yeah, I'll see you in a bit. So I'm going to call all my marketing managers Vicky in my head. And whenever I'm putting my values together and I'm putting my content together, I'm always thinking, right, how do I speak to Vicky? Vicky's got no time. Vicky's scatty. Vicky wants an easy life. So me being giving and informal and creative is a great asset for Vicky. Right, lovely. So what I'd like you to do now, I would like you to think about 2 things. One is an impact statement. So for example, if your value words were empowerment, beauty, achievement, excellence and contentment, your statement might be, I breathe empowerment into others and help them see beauty, achieve excellence and find contentment. Or if you were straightforward and inspirational, confident and empowering and growing and blah, 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 you might say, with a straightforward approach, I inspire confidence and empower others to succeed and grow by proving quality and trustworthy marketing solutions. So when you feel comfy with your one statement to rule them all, you then break it down into your purpose statements, which is maybe where you take a couple of your value words and then you make it relatable to a specific audience. So this is where you might take safety and adventure and you think, how do I use those value words to speak to a corporate client? So it's breaking you down, but keeping the warm words in a way to target specific people. The purpose statement is a bit more featurey about what you do for people, but you're trying to speak to them and think, oh, motivation and creativity will speak to this sort of audience member, you know, whereas growth and adventure will speak to this sort of audience. Right, basically this is the skeleton of what you do, how you do it, and then thinking about your values in terms of your content is the next step here. What we want to do, and what's nice and easy about this, is you've got 5 value words. You've got 5 days of the week to post social media posts. Guess what? 5 into 5 is 1 a day. Yay! And if you're talking about your value and it's motivating, or it's empowering, or it's creativity, it's probably going to be really easy for you to talk about because it's one of your value words. But basically you can break down your values into useful different content. So the examples I've put here is value 1 is empowerment, and on Monday you might share an empowering motivational story from your life or your business using a personal photo, because if you use a photo of yourself, your engagement will go up significantly. So always use photos of yourself, even if you look like some sort of selfie queen like I do all the time. Then Wednesday you talk about your second value, which is maybe quality. And what you do is you showcase some work you've done that you love and it's of a high quality. And you think about why it was important that it was high quality. And you tell a story. Friday, you might talk about your value of excellence. And what you might do for that is you might share a blog about your top tips, about how to start your day right. And then you could include reference to other highly considered people in your network or in the business world. You could say, oh, I learned from Gary Vaynerchuk, da-da-da-da. Or did you know that Tony Robbins does this? Or did you know that Oprah starts the day with oat milk? Whatever, okay? So you're not only talking about your own excellence, what you're sharing information about how other people can be excellent. And then if you reference other people who are seen as excellent, it's like a triple threat of excellence. Saturday, you might share your value of creativity. And this is where you might literally share something that you have created yourself. if you're in a creative industry. Maybe it's a new tool or technique, maybe it's a new beautiful dress that's come in, maybe it's a lovely flat lay of all lovely healthy foods, or maybe a creativity quiz you found online. So if you can't always find things yourself, it's okay. As long as they align with your brand values, you can share other things from other sources. So for example, one of your words might be creativity, and one of your words might be knowledge. So you think, oh, I went on Harvard Business Review and they had this amazing quiz on how to unlock your creativity. So then Monday, we've got to think about quality again. So we're going to go back. So we talked about it on Wednesday, so we're going to talk about it on a different day. And what we're going to do is we're going to share a well thought through piece of content. So maybe something you researched or an infographic, or maybe it might be a review or a testimonial about something that someone said you did really well. So again, not everything has to be produced by you. And then what we're going to do on this one, we're going to do the soft sell. So persuasive is like, I didn't ask you for anything. 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 I'm amazing. Book me. Call me. Visit my website. So ask them to do something. But if you ask every time, they'll be like, oh, spammy. Spammy Pammy wants me to book. Spammy Pammy wants me to spend my money. So being soft sell is a much better strategy. And when you're building a personal brand, sometimes you want to just put content out that seems like it's kind of for nothing, but what you're really doing is reinforcing your brand. And then we're going to go back to value number 1, which is empowerment, and then you might share a podcast, mini video of you chatting, anything you want. So that's a good strategy for persuasion, is actually featuring someone else. So if you've recorded a podcast, or you've had a photo with someone, you've met them at an event, or maybe you've recorded a video together, that's a really good way of leveraging their values and their audience as well. So really what we want to do is, you've got your values, you need to start communicating about them. So planning social media against each of your values and thinking about, I love creativity, who cares? That person, why do they care? Because I can do that for them. Okay, so I'm going to write about that. But this person also likes creativity, and who are they? And how can I write it in that way for them? So start thinking like that. Be really consistent in how you communicate, but also when, where, why, and what. Because consistency is trust. And if you put your head above the parapet, and you keep putting your head above the parapet, and you're like, hi, I know what I'm talking about, people will believe you. And also the thing is with consistency, you don't have to do a post every day. Just choose a couple of posts a week or a post a week. If you're just being consistent, drip, 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 drip. Yeah. Focus on the benefits, so make sure you think about the benefits and keeping things nice and toasty and warm. So I love, and I'm thrilled, and I'm excited, and I'm happy, and oh my God, like all the lovely, lovely words, the happy words. Be recognisable, so feel free to share your life, your home, your dog, your kids, use whatever you can to leverage some sort of return. If you feel comfy to share your life, go for it. People ask me all the time, what, you want me to share everything? No, I don't. I want you to share what you're comfortable with. And don't feel like you need to overshare. I used to have a camper van last year, absolutely bloody loved it. I also wanted to show it off all the time. So I would constantly be like, I'm so creative in my camper van. Oh, here I am in my camper van. Like constantly, every opportunity I had to talk about creativity and link it to my van and being out somewhere, I would. It's also, you want to live in your bubble of your world. So this is actually a good point, is not to comment, share loads of random stuff that isn't aligned with your values, or isn't just because your mate said, oh, can you like and comment on my post? If it's totally irrelevant to you and your brand and your values, don't do it. I've said that. People have been like, can you reshare my content? I'm like, no, it's nothing to do with me. My clients are going to be like, what the hell is that? So feel free to live in your circle of influence, in your circle of power. So active and reactive content is basically where you are actively, I've just said that actually, so you're posting your own stuff around social, blogs and content, videos, whatever, and then reactive is when you're comment, liking and sharing. So do both, because people love digital love, so they want to be patted on the back and say, oh, great job, well done, but make sure that it's relevant to your brand and what you're doing. And then test your brand. Ask people questions, text the people in your phone, email a couple of clients, check the reviews, test it. And what will be interesting is once you start this process, actually looking at the reviews and see if they change their language, because they're being told it over and over and over again, and then they come and use your services, and they'd be interested to know if they then say the words back to you. So that is full circle moment. That's full trust. Also, I love LinkedIn, so I'm going to very quickly talk about LinkedIn because for me, that's where a lot of branding stuff lives. And I think for a few of you in here, LinkedIn is probably a bit of an area that's useful. So thinking about the time that you post is really important. Think of when is your audience, Larry, Lisa and Benny and Harry, when are they actually online? Something that happened to me before the pandemic, 6 a.m. was my posting time, 6 and 7 a.m. It still is now. During the pandemic, my traction went down. And I was like, that's weird, because no one was commuting to work. So they weren't reading my posts at that time. So think about your audience. If you're speaking to the engineering sector, they have 3 p.m. lunch breaks and 3 p.m. tea breaks. And on Fridays they finish quite early, so think about that. Tactical liking is where you basically post your content but you give it time to grow. So what you're doing is you're posting your own content early in the morning, but then you're not liking, sharing or commenting on anything else. So, because on LinkedIn, if you like, share or comment, it will bury your own content, which is frustrating. So you don't really want that to happen. Hashtags, so using 3 hashtags, not too many, not too few, 3, it's a perfect number. And emojis, so I always think, if a picture speaks 1,000 words, how many emotions does an emoji speak? People love emojis, and you can also create some of your brand, some of your value words. Creativity could always be an easel, or innovation could always be a light bulb, or health and well-being could always be the little leaf. And choose your emojis based on your values and use them over and over. And then happiness factor. So really, is it beautiful? Is it useful? Does it create any sort of joy? Especially right now, people do want positivity, so help them. We always want to have a laugh. We want to have a nice life. We don't want everything to be serious all the time, sad all the time. You can do that as a strategy to make people feel sad or outraged, but I don't live there. I live in happy land. And then also asking people for advice, asking people that you want to be connected to. A really good strategy here, it's not just LinkedIn, but if you want to build your business and build your network, is actually asking people for their feedback on stuff. So if you want to create new services, ring some of your ideal clients, even if you don't know them, and say, can I talk to you about this new service I'm launching for your feedback? I'm not selling to you. Can I just ask you what you think? And they love that. And you're creating a connection and you're creating a relationship. And then they're like, oh, when you launch it, they think, oh, I was part of that. I was part of that offer. I'm going to use her. So that's just a quick couple of things.